You're very welcome back to Law Hero. My name is Jen and I make videos about the law. And today we're going to be talking about the Qualified Lawyers Transfer Test. I haven't made a video like this for a while, since 2019. I've actually updated all the ebooks now that I sell on the Qltt with the exam papers. Today we're going to go down through the syllabus. I'm going to tell you, if you're a foreign lawyer, some tips, and my website is lawhero.eu. So the Qltt is simply a transfer test for lawyers who are qualified, usually in a common law jurisdiction. And there are some other exceptions. All of those exceptions are on the Law Society's website. I get asked a lot of times about certain jurisdictions, for example, South America, and some Asian countries, and unfortunately it is only really geared towards the EU and common law jurisdictions like the US, Canada, South Africa, Australia, anywhere basically where England had a colony historically. So I'm not an expert on the exemptions, but that's just a broad overview. Usually people will have exemptions from their own jurisdictions. For example, in areas like I've seen company law, they've had one, especially if they've practiced in that, or contract, for example. I've seen some people with that. For example, if they've been commercial contract lawyers in their own jurisdiction, then there's no need for them to do the contract law exam. Those are examples of exemptions I have seen from the people who've come to me. The exam is broken down as follows. There's an oral exam on professional conduct, and this is simply to test your probity as a lawyer. That's why it's done orally. This is very common in other jurisdictions, and just so you know, we have a new professional conduct, I believe it's version 4, that I was actually involved in from the Guidance and Ethics Committee. It's actually not that long, I would say, but that's available on the Law Society website. You can download that for free, and that's why I don't sell any notes on it, because you can download that conduct book for free, and that will cover you for your oral exam. You don't need to do any prep courses, you don't need to buy any notes for that. That's just there. Now moving on to the other part of the exam, which is the written part of the exam. So there is 6 papers in the Qltt. You can find all of this out, but I'm just going to tell you really quickly. The first one is constitutional law, Irish constitutional law, which will be new to most people, and you can pair that with either criminal law or company law, and that's up to you. I would advise most of you to do company law simply because it's far more straightforward. It's not as nuanced, I would say. The second one is contract and tort, very straightforward. The third one is land law. The fourth one is probate and tax. I do not do notes on that. The reason is because I am not a tax lawyer, and the tax laws change every year. I'm also terrible at remembering all that stuff, so I've decided not to provide notes on paper 4. I'm sorry about that. That being said, the probate side of it is very straightforward. There's a lot of notes online around wills. It's very, very straightforward. Around the legal right share and all of that stuff is online. And when it comes to the taxation part of it, again, all of that information is free online. Solicitor's accounts, paper 5. I personally think it's crazy that foreign lawyers are tested in solicitor accounts, because we have software to do all of that stuff. A lawyer like myself who's working, for example, in-house, will never have to do solicitor accounts because we're an employee. You only have to do solicitor accounts if you own your own firm. Otherwise, accountants in the firm will do it. So I think it's actually a disgrace that solicitors have to do this. I think it makes sense for solicitors to know the general principles of client accounts, which is, all the disbursements are noted, all the expenses are noted, that client funds are kept separate. But to make people do accounts, mad. And I'm so sorry that you have to do that. The final paper is EU law, which I'm sure you'll all fly, and usually people do. In my career, and looking after people that do the QLTT, the EU law exam never poses any issues. So just so you know, the QLTT is twice a year. It's either on in the summertime or the wintertime, June, July, or October, November. And what else would I say? Yeah, the exam papers are quite straightforward. They're usually like essay or problem type questions, just like the FE1. And that's actually the reason I teach QLTT, is because it's basically a carbon copy of the FE1, or it's actually easier than it. So the notes I generate for FE1 are the same notes I generate for QLTT. To pass the exam, you have to get 50%. Yeah, so we're going to dive into the papers that I cover really quickly now. So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of look down through the syllabus that you're given on the Law Society's website, and just simply tell you what I perceive to be important and what's not important. So you'll see here under constitutional law, there's a number of topics set out, and these are all covered in my ebook, but they're much more organized. And you'll see there with the President and the Attorney General, I actually don't go into those in detail in my ebook. They would probably be the only one I would exclude. Recommended reading, I wouldn't worry too much about. A lot of people get upset about it, but I wouldn't bother. Criminal law, again, it's a really long list of things you have to do. I have them organized in the same way as they are here in my ebook. And yeah, the thing with criminal law is it touches so many different areas. The statutes piece, we don't have one codified criminal law. We have several, and they're all set out in my ebook. Again, recommended reading is just too much there. Now, the company law is particularly badly set out here, and I would highly advise you to ignore what is going on here. And the reason is because it's organized in a way that doesn't correspond to what the examiner actually asks. So the way my ebook is set out is that I look at the exam questions and then I, reverse engineer the process. Whereas this is very formulaic. It looks at abstract concepts, but it doesn't really help you. It also asks you for way more than you're going to be asked in the exam. So I would say in a nutshell, my ebook covers about 90% of this. For example, if you see there financial statements, I don't cover that because it just doesn't get asked on its own. It may get asked as part of director's duties, but again, my ebook covers that. So for company law, I would definitely follow my structure rather than this one. This one's just too broad. You would take forever to learn everything here. And most of it, like receivership, examinership, wind down, they're just not asked in the QLTT. I think this is a copy and paste of the FE1 syllabus, to be honest. Again, recommended reading, don't bother with that. You've too much to do already. So contract law is relatively straightforward here actually in the syllabus, which is helpful. What's set out here is mirrored in my ebook, other than privity of contract, which regards third party. I don't really do that, but yes, I do everything else, and I do it, in my opinion, in a better format. There, for example, they haven't even mentioned the 2022 Act. This is the law of tort. Again, this is quite difficult for anybody to follow. I would argue that my ebook is set out much better. It's also a very, very long list, and most of it never gets asked. Land law, again, is very, very long. Certain of these things are never asked. For example, their rent charge has never been asked and never will be asked because it's so obscure. But the main areas I have covered along the lines of the numbered chapters here in my ebook. So it's organized in the same level. I don't do conveyancing law really. Let me see. Yeah, so probate and tax. I don't cover this, but what I would say is when it comes to tax, just get the most, up to date, whatever year the budget has come out, summary of tax from the Law Society. That's always usually very good. That's what I would get, rather than worrying about every single act. And then the solicitor's accounts, you'll find tons of examples of those online, but basically it's double entry exam. It's like a accountancy exam almost. EU law, probably the most straightforward exam you will do on the Qltt. Again, I would ignore this, the way it's set out here. By the way, sorry, this exam is 3 hours and the other exam is 4 hours. I prefer how my ebook is set out. To be honest, it's much more intuitive than this. This is granular, and obviously it's correct, but I just think mine's easier to remember because this is very much based on like the treaties and all of that, whereas that's not really how the questions are asked. We do supremacy, we do freedom of movement of goods seems to be the big one on the Qltt, by the way. That's why I don't bother with services, for example. I don't bother with freedom of movement of services. Yeah, so that's the end of it. I wish you best of luck in your exam, and if you have any questions, just email me. Thank you.